Shout out to Jenny and Dawn. Thanks so much for subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for regular uploads and your chance to be included in shoutouts for future videos. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be making some pure olive oil liquid soap. What I have been doing actually, and it's actually been working out really well, because I do sell liquid soap pastes on my website and they've become really popular. But what I was doing before is I was doing, pure olive oil paste, and then I'll do like a 70-30 coconut to olive oil paste as well, and I was like doing different pastes. But what I've been doing now is just been doing pure paste, so pure olive oil, pure coconut oil and pure shea butter. So then that way people can actually buy the pastes, all three of them, or whichever combination they like, and they can just weigh out what paste they want, and they can kind of create their own liquid soap, I guess, in the sense of the percentage of specific oils. They have full control about it, so they can do like a 50-50 coconut olive or a 70-30, 70 being olive, 30 being coconut, just to boost the lather a little bit, for people that like really olive rich either bar soaps or liquid soaps. So this gives them the power to customize the soap paste. So since I've been doing that, it's been really popular, and I'm really loving my new thermal printer as well. These are eco-friendly bags, and I store my liquid soap paste in here and I put them in the fridge. And the reason why I use thermal labels, I actually use thermal labels in a lot of my products, is because they don't smudge and they're water resistant as well. So that's kind of how they look, just to show. And I upgraded from a 203 DPI thermal printer to a 300 DPI thermal printer, and it's just crystal, it's crystal clear. It's really nice. I really love the quality. So I'll be making 12 bags. So each bag holds half a kilo, 500 grams of soap paste. And this is a 3 kilo olive oil batch. Sorry, I just batched the camera. So this is a 3 kilo recipe. So in here is 3 kilos of Australian extra virgin olive oil and 900 grams of, I'm just going to do percentage, I'm not going to go into how much grams. Everything is in the description below as well. So it's 30% or 900 grams of vegetable glycerine, palm free, that's in here, and 5% sodium lactate, 1% sugar. And I'm doing things a little bit differently. So what I used to do is I would add the glycerin after trace, but I've been actually just mixing the sugar and the glycerin in with the oils. Same with the sodium lactate. I just find it a lot easier to work with. And actually putting the glycerin in the oil, when you add the lye, this is the KOH or potassium hydroxide solution. There's absolutely nothing in there, it's just KOH. And I'll get to that in a second why I've been doing that. So I've changed things up a little since I released my last olive oil paste. So I thought I'll walk you through the changes of what I've made. So what I used to do is add the glycerin at trace, but I add it in the oils now, and it just speeds up the cooking time. This will be ready in like 2 or 3 hours, whereas before it was taking 8 to 10 hours plus without the glycerin. And even adding the glycerin after trace, it would still take a few hours, like 5 or 6 hours, but adding it this way, the glycerin just from the get-go just speeds everything up. And I learned that trick from our good old friend Ellie from Ellie's Everyday. She said when you add it like that, it speeds up saponification, which is 100% true. It's most definitely true. So the water, I used to add the citric acid as well to the water before adding the KOH, the potassium hydroxide, but I found adding the citric acid in there, because KOH does bubble up quite a bit just on its own, and it does create a larger burst of heat compared to sodium hydroxide when you're making bar soap. So what I've been doing is to prevent it like splashing everywhere, which is what happened a lot, and I had to do it outside, like really far away from me when I'm adding, because I add 3% citric acid to all my liquid soaps. So with bar soaps I just add sodium gluconate, but with liquid soaps I add 3% citric acid and 1% sodium gluconate. So I dissolve these prior to mixing everything. So after I get a light trace, I dump the citric acid solution into here, and that prevents any bubbling and any crazy behavior that would happen otherwise. And that takes a couple of minutes because it's already hot, remember. So let's just check the temperatures. 62, 38. So I'll wait for this to come up a little bit. So given the heat that's going on in the crock pot, the reaction from citric acid with the KOH creates potassium citrate, because we're using potassium hydroxide. Citric acid with sodium hydroxide creates sodium citrate. Sodium citrate, potassium citrate behave exactly the same way. It's just chemically they are different, but they are chelators, and they act as antioxidants as well, so they prevent any red acidity and spoilage. Same with the sodium gluconate. Sodium gluconate stays sodium gluconate, whether you're using it in bar or liquid soap, because there is no reaction happening from the sodium gluconate, so it stays a sodium. But whereas the citric acid here will change into potassium citrate, because this is going to react with the KOH or potassium hydroxide. And of course you need to add extra potassium hydroxide in here. You follow the light calc and it tells you how much extra KOH is needed. So that's extra. This is going to be a live, heavy liquid soap until I add the citric acid solution. Then I'll bring it back down to a neutral, or not a neutral, I should say, to a acceptable range, or pH 9 after the cooking is done. So I've already done all those calculations separately. And you don't want to add, and I'll say this now, you don't want to add the sodium gluconate before the reaction happens with the citric acid, because sodium hydroxide, or not sodium hydroxide, what am I saying? Potassium hydroxide reacts with sodium gluconate. So it'll create another chemical, and we don't want that to happen, because we want potassium citrate in the liquid soap as well as sodium gluconate untouched and unscattered. So that's the thought process behind that, and that's why we're adding them separately. So adding it after trace will give the citric acid to react and create sodium citrate, and then we're going to wait a few minutes as we're blending and mixing everything. Then we'll go ahead and dump the sodium gluconate in as well. So using those, the reason why I use both in my liquid soap paste, if I knew the customers are just using it for body, I'll just add sodium gluconate, there's no problem. But I have to assume, because I'm doing separate pastes, that they might actually create liquid soap for cleaning. So I want as much chelators and antioxidants in the finished liquid soap paste, because I have to assume they're going to be using it for cleaning, and we want to reduce soap scum as much as possible. So that's the thought behind that. And this will be ready fairly quick. It doesn't take long. I would say probably max 3 hours. Every time you make liquid soap, I have to say, so I'll point this out, the cooking time is going to be different. It's never the same. Sometimes it'll be ready in 2 hours, sometimes it'll be ready in an hour and a half, sometimes it'll be ready in 3 hours. It's never the same. It's not as consistent like bar soap, whereas, you reach a trace, you pour it off. Depending on your recipe, if you're going to have to cut it in 12 hours or 20 hours or whatever, the case is, depending on how much water and salt you use in your recipe. But with liquid soap, it's going to vary between batches. I don't know why. I just put it down to KOH is a weaker solution compared to sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is very pure for bar soap. KOH is fairly weak in comparison, and it might take a little longer between batches to fully bond with the oil and saponify it. So the cooking time can vary between batches. So I just put it down to that, having a scientific mind and a technical mind. That's just how my brain has processed why it behaves that. I could be wrong, but that's just my thought process behind it. Right, so I'm just going to wait for this to heat up a little bit more. It's at 40 degrees. I like to start my liquid soap at 50. So that's 60 and that's 40. Yeah, I could probably start soaping now. But I will wait a little. So I thought I would just bring you along with making liquid soap paste. This would store in the fridge for years, like 2 years at least. For personal use, I don't store liquid soap paste in the fridge. I just leave it in an airtight container and I put it in the cupboard. But considering these pastes I am going to sell, after they have cooled down, I actually bag them up and I put them straight in the fridge with the label and everything. So when a customer puts in hot water, I let it thaw just a little bit. Not that it's frozen or anything, but it can create a little bit of moisture on the outside of the bag. So we don't want to pack it, in the box and ship it off when it's got that moisture. So what I do is the day before, if I get orders, so today for liquid soap paste, I'll take it out. I'll just leave it there for 12 to 24 hours, depending on, when I feel comfortable shipping it. And then I put it in the, ship them, put them in the, satchel or shipping box or whatever, and then I package them up and then I send them off. So that's how I kind of do my liquid soaps and the liquid soap pastes. Yeah, so that's it. It's a pretty straightforward video. You'll just see me cooking and going through all the stages. And I do a clarity test and a pH test. So if you don't have pH strips, I highly recommend you invest in these. They're really, really great. They're very accurate. I know you'll see some, resources online saying that they're not very accurate, but in my experience, I've used them since soaping for 8+ years and I haven't had one instance where it's not accurate. They behave really well. So I'll take a little bit of paste at the end of the cook. I'll do a clarity test and a pH test. And if they both come back nice and clear, and if they come back, reading an 8 or a 9 on the pH strip, I'm totally fine with that. But I also remember in colder weather, especially olive oil liquid soap, even coconut oil liquid soap, they'll go a little cloudy. So you can't always go by clarity tests in really, really cold weather because they do tend to cloud up. But now it's spring here and it's over 20 degrees. It tends to come back clear when you cook nice. So if you're in a really cold climate and no matter what you do or how long you cook it, it comes back cloudy, it's totally fine. So do the pH test. If it comes back 8 or 9, just do a quick, lather test on when you're doing the clarity test as well to see if it all dilutes, and you do the pH because you have to dilute it properly to do a proper pH test. You can actually, on the paste there, you can just rub a little bit of water and do a strip like that, but I don't do that. I like to just be 100% safe and I dilute a little bit of water, pH test. I do a quick lather test as well, which I will do a lather test for you on the camera. And really, really beautiful, gentle, mild recipe, safe to use on babies, on kids, on any ages. Leave it unscented if you've got skin, problems or sensitivity to fragrances or whatever. It's perfect to use as is, after you obviously dilute it. So I recommend people always get this question, what do you dilute olive oil liquid soap? And with all liquid soaps, I recommend starting 3 to 1. So say, you got 100 grams of soap paste, then you do 300 grams of distilled or spring water. You can use filtered water if that's something you're comfortable using. People use rainwater, you can use that as well. So it's just personal preference. I like to use distilled water because it's clean and bacteria free. But spring water and filtered water would do just fine. So I thought I will just update you on everything that I've been, all the changes I've made with this recipe. And I'm going to go ahead and actually mix everything now because everything seems to be at the appropriate temperature, 34. Well, I've mixed this, so let's see, 35, 38. I don't know why it's going down in temperature. Anyway, this will heat up once I add that. It'll heat up nicely. Alright, so I'm going to quit yakking and we're going to continue and making, I like to call on my packaging as well, 100% traditional Castile soap or Castile soap. Traditional Castile soap, I guess, because real traditional Castile soap is 100% olive oil and nothing else. Right, so we are back and that's all done. As you can see, it's a very messy process because the soap paste is really sticky and it's just really hard to use, like tools to get them in those bags. I am wondering though, if I could use those ice cream scoops. I wonder if that'll work, and then, you do I'll have to get a really big one, so then I'll have to do, like 20 scoops worth for half a kilo bag. But that's all done, thankfully. It's very messy, so I put the gloves on and then I sanitize the gloves as well on top of it because I'm going to be touching the paste. There is little bits of paste all around and it's hard to get off, so what I usually do is fill up with water, let it dilute, and then I wash it that way. So basically this washes itself. I just get a sponge and make sure I clean it out with hot water. There was about 250 grams of paste left over. It wasn't enough to make the 12th bag, but that's okay. I will use that. I will keep that aside. And the diluted soap, as you can see, mostly it is diluted. It's just a tiny chunk here. But we'll just put it in there because that's okay. Most of it dissolved. And we will do a quick pH test right here for you. There we go, perfect. That's an 8 or a 9, which is great. And I'll show you a quick lather test. I'll just literally pour that liquid soap, and it doesn't have like, overly rich lather, but just as you would expect from a olive oil recipe where the bar or liquid, the lather isn't that much. It's got more of a creaminess to it, and it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And even with paste, like if I just get the paste like that, and that will lather up just like that, you can kind of just test it that way if you like. You don't have to dilute it. If you're just doing a quick lather test, you can just grab a tiny bit of the paste and lather it up that way. But it's just a ultra gentle recipe as you would expect, from a Castile soap, and it's just got a creaminess to it. The lather isn't obviously that great, but you can always add, if you do make your soap, like your paste separate, you can, how I do, my range, I make olive oil paste, coconut oil paste and shea butter paste. So you could just make them separately and then combine them as you like. So if you like, wanting to wash your body, then you can do like a 50-50, coconut, olive, or 60-40 or 70-30, just do whatever you like. So it's advantages of making separate soap paste, one oil, because then you get more freedom and control of when you are actually diluting your soap, the qualities, and you control kind of the end result. So yeah, that's just wanted to show you the lather. I'm just gonna, because this is just where I make my soap, so the tap's a little bit further away from me, so I can't wash my hands here. So I just wanted to quickly show you a lather. It's a really gentle recipe, beautiful. Definitely give it a go. And a little goes a long way. Like if you were to make this size and use it for personal use, it will last an incredibly long time, if not over a year, depending on how much you go through. But here, 3 kilos of paste will last me about a year, and it just goes a long way, and very, very cost effective and eco-friendly way of making your own luxurious liquid soap at home. Alright everyone, so thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed me taking you through the process of how I package my liquid soap paste. I do think I might change the packaging to make it a little easier. I can source these recycled plastic jars. They are actually made here in Australia, down in Victoria. I use the bottles for my liquid soaps, but they make the jars also, so I think maybe the liquid soap in those jars would be a lot better. I haven't decided yet. I might just grab a few and see how I like them and see if 500 grams actually fits in that 500 gram jar. 500 grams of soap paste anyway. Alright, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in next week's video. And take care, and bye for now. And if you do decide to try olive oil liquid soap, do let me know how you go in the description. See ya.